Welcome into the Gaming Discourse. I'm Tyler Frater alongside Richard A. the Cruz.
Hello.
And Chief Engineer, Lieutenant Commander Connor Frater.
Good evening.
It is Monday, March 23rd, 2026. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/gamingdiscourse, patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. You can support us for $247, $10. Get your name in the video credits, early access to our videos, access to our Discord server, and more. Update last week about the project I'm currently working on. It is a free update, so if you go to our YouTube channel, or if you go to our Patreon page and you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can still see it. You can also join Patreon for free, and you'll get notifications when I post a free update here and there. It's just a script preview. I'm remaking a video I made a long time ago about the Silent Cartographer. I did a video about its design and why it's such a brilliant level, and so I'm kind of just remaking that one because it was from a long time ago, and I always thought I enjoyed doing that. But now that I'm a much better writer, I thought I could give it another pass and make it a better video and re-upload it. So that's what I'm working on right now. Go to Patreon to check it out. We have lots to talk about, lots of slop. Some VR. Actually, it's the two same topics we talked about last week, and I think much of the conversation is going to be pretty similar. But well, I mean, what are you going to do, Tom? It's all about the AI generated right now. But what I'm excited for is Richard's thoughts on Resident Evil Requiem.
On Requiem, yeah. I guess first off, I'll say, well, there probably will be slight spoilers for like at least the start of the game here, but. One of the major things I want to talk about is how the RE engine keeps getting better and better, because the character models in Requiem are insane, particularly when it comes to the gore and the physics effects of blood splatter. And I had a particular instance where I replayed a certain section and I coaxed a zombie out from a hallway, and he was nearby the windows, and I ended up getting a headshot on him, which pretty much most of the side of his face just blew off. But
nice.
Yes, it was. I hate to say satisfying. From a gameplay standpoint, it was satisfying, not from like a sociopathic,
From a technical standpoint of analyzing an engine.
But
it was fucking awesome.
But yeah, but seeing the angle of the blood splatter continue on to the wall and like almost touching the ceiling was very cool. Very cool. And I applaud Capcom and the RE engine because, yeah, that is awesome.
Video games have come a long way from just a pool of blood around the body.
Which I wouldn't mind if it was just a pool of blood around the body, like at all. But we get this sometimes, and that's great. I'm absolutely loving Resident Evil Requiem so far. I have played every single Resident Evil game, most of them that have come out. And since the first or second game, I don't think I've ever been as stressed and scared to play this game, particularly as Grace, because her sections of the game are very... They had a vision of what they wanted to do for her sections, and I think they nailed it. Meeting the first, I guess I'll call it a creature, when you enter the hospital as Grace, was a very insane and stress-inducing section, and I liked it a lot. They also do the thing I hate where there's a storybook that tells the story of the creature that's in the area, and then... you turn like 2 or 3 pages and then like the last page is just all blacked out and like eyes are staring at you and you don't expect it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, there's a storybook that you pick up and like the kid, because when you open one of the rooms, it's pitch black, and then you get the lighter, and when you turn on, you realize it's a child's room, and it's like, oh shit. But there's a light switch that you don't see until you get the lighter, so you can hit the switch, and then there's a storybook, and it's 3 pages long, and it talks about stay in the light, the witch won't find you, or they call her a witch. And then the second page is like, once again, like stay in the light. But like the third page is just completely blacked out, and her eyes are very crudely drawn just on both pages.
I think I do remember this.
And then it just says she's watching you, and then you meet her very soon after that. So that's, very, very rough. I love Grace as a character. I thought she was going to be very not annoying, but you'd expect unfairly, you'd expect a character like her, the longer you're in a situation, for them to get used to what's going on and like kind of break out of their shell. But you get to see from her perspective, whatever happened to her 8 years prior, the immediate like breakdown of her psyche in the moment that she experiences the death of her mom, which is also a very cool thing to see a legacy Resident Evil character get taken out like that so quickly.
I didn't even know that was a legacy Resident Evil character.
You could play as her in Resident Evil Outbreak.
Oh, okay.
Resident Evil Outbreak 1 and 2, you play as 8 different survivors working together to get out of Raccoon City.
Okay.
And that's the multiplayer we want again, but Capcom just won't give it to us. But anyways,
Cowards.
yes. Yeah, no, cowards, yeah. And each character has different, like, one character has more carrying space than another character. One character has lockpicks and they can do that. So if you play it online, yeah, you get to do all that. But yeah, Grace starts out as a character who's not necessarily she's moody. She's a teenager, I'd assume, at this point. And yeah, whatever, mom. But yeah, as soon as the death of her mother happens in the situation she's in, you just immediately see just the whole breakdown. I don't know if you experienced it, but because I said I had to restart, or I retried a couple sections, particularly with the chef, that you can interrupt or have new voice lines for certain things, or maybe just not activate certain lines. But the chef started chasing me at one point because he's in a kitchen cooking, quote unquote. But then when you come back, he's just out and about walking around.
Yeah, it changes up the...
Yeah. You're supposed to go into this like parlor room where there's like a game room that you go into, and he ended up following me into that parlor room because, you know, I was trying to get away from him. Because it's also, if you're not careful as Grace, you will suffer the consequences. But I tried it again because I realized how I could do that better. And when I got him to not chase me and I entered the parlor room, Grace had things to say about the parlor room.
Oh, okay.
I think she said something like, how do people play in here? Like, how do they get in here and whatnot? I'm at the part, another spoiler, I'll tell you where I am, but I need to, I'm in the East Wing now of the hospital. There's the East and West Wing. And I encountered the second very big creature that you encounter. And what sucks is that he's in a very obviously placed trap. There's the medical bracelet, or the security level bracelet. And it's just out there right in the middle of the hallway. And I already knew what the deal was. I knew something was going to happen. But what sucks is that I was too focused on what I thought was going to happen. I never grabbed the bracelet for all of those security rooms. So now I have to try to go back in there and coax him around to get that bracelet so I can go back down, because I started to watch other people who done it because I wanted to see their reactions to it, because it was a very good scene when you weren't expecting it. I'm also playing with the Pulse 3D headset, which if you haven't used them, they're excellent headsets. So the effect of him popping up on you was pretty great. But yeah, most people were able to grab the bracelet before he popped out, but not me. He popped out before I grabbed the bracelet. So now I have to like figure out a way to do that. I like her mechanic of gathering the blood to try to upgrade your stuff. But so far I'm having a really great time playing. Leon is an asshole. As he should be. The when you first play with him, he's in the middle of the street, which by the way, the main villain, Victor Gideon, I think, is very cool. I think he's a very cool villain, and I love how surgical he was when he was carrying Grace out from the city, and just the way he shot everyone passing by him was just very smooth. Yeah, of how they did that, and I really liked him. I like his demeanor and how he carries himself, especially when it comes to, he knows exactly what he's doing. Unlike the other Resident Evil antagonists, they're very like pompous and coy about it. He knows exactly what he's doing, but I don't know what he's doing quite yet. But anyways, when you encounter when you play as Leon in the hospital, there's a one of the medical assistants comes, grabs you, and then, you know, whatever goes down starts to happen, and she gets killed by a chainsaw right in front of Leon. Poor girl, because she's like, I just started, you know, and she doesn't seem to be evil or anything, but yeah, she gets cut down by a doctor, and of course Leon is just like, oh, in a second opinion. It's just like, come on, dude, like,
when
I
you
get
finally
it.
kill him, he
Yeah,
goes,
like,
they'll get a second opinion. Yeah, and trust me, there's many more to
oh,
come.
I know there will be as well, but I think Requiem so far is incredibly good, and I can't wait to play more of it. I just want to spend a whole day playing it, but I haven't been able to yet.
Are you playing Grace in first or third person?
Oh, I'm playing her in third person just because I'm more used to third person. However, the forced first person sections are incredibly effective.
Are there forced third person
There
sections?
have been for me. So when you when you enter the hotel right at the beginning of the game as Grace, which, by the way, I'm not very picky on how things are set up, but as I get older, I start to like question things. But they send Grace, the only FBI agent, down to this hotel that's guarded by one cop 6 buildings away.
Yes.
With no other lights, no other nothing. It's like, yeah, go over there. And
Exactly,
it's like, okay,
yes.
all right, great. And then there's a couple other things that happen in that hotel, which I'm just like, all right, sure. But crap, I forgot the question you asked because I was trying to
because there's forced first,
Right.
there's a couple first person sections.
As Grace, when you encounter when you encounter that same cop who gets infected,
oh yeah,
they force you into first person mode there, and then
and the effect is awesome.
It is very good. Yes,
it's an insane just the scene is just so
the
well
sequence
done.
is very good. And then the second time, it's a jump scare. It's when you open a locker right when you enter the medical area as Grace and the big creature. A dead body like falls on top of you, but they force you into first person mode to experience that.
Oh, okay.
So those are the only 2 I've had so far, but yeah, they've been very effective.
That scene at the beginning of the game, the scene with Leon in the street, it felt iconic to me just because you had the rain, you had the cars, and it was Resident Evil's version of the beginning of The Last of Us, you know, where everybody's running through the streets and you're trying to figure out what's going on. But it's the Resident Evil version where it's like people are running, but some of them are zombies.
It's slow,
and some of them aren't. And Leon has this badass coat on, and he's got this badass gun, and you're trying to like save as many of the civilians as you can, as like some of them are zombies, some of them aren't, and all the light is reflecting off the water on the ground. It's just that beginning section. I was just like, oh damn, this is fucking awesome. Yeah. And then it just got better from there. So I'm excited for you to play more. You're that is still fairly early on. So you got a lot to go, but it is all good. Let me tell you, it is all excellent.
Oh, I know it's going to be.
Okay, anything else?
Monster Hunter Stories 3 is awesome. That one's really cool.
What kind of game is Monster Hunter
It
Stories?
is so it's a side shoot of the Monster Hunter series, but it's JRPG, Final Fantasy style. Final Fantasy style. So the characters can ride the creatures, and you basically get them like just like Persona or Pokemon. You'll get the creatures to use in certain ways.
Okay.
So I know like one of the I'm playing the trial before I like think about buying it, and the trial is 15 hours.
Wow.
Like, and you can carry it over to the real game. But yeah, like you ride around to Rathalos, and it's like open world, which is very cool. And then there was a part where it's like, oh, I got to climb this tower, so I had to switch to one of the other monsters that's a boss in Monster Hunter World. They're all bosses, but and it allowed me to use that creature to just power very fast. And yeah, there were very cool things about that. And they use effectively the break methods of the creatures you're fighting in battle. Like if you do certain things, they have more susceptibility to get like a weakness and stuff like that. It's very neat. But yeah, I don't have much to say on it. It's very good.
Connor, you haven't been playing anything?
No.
Okay.
I don't play video games anymore.
You don't play video games anymore. Just the man in the sea. That's all Connor requires. And by sea, I mean work. I'm sorry. That sucks.
Okay.
Okay. So I've been playing. I picked up a few different things for the Steam spring sale. I've recently been obsessed with Door Kickers 2, which I don't know if you guys ever played Door Kickers. It was sort of a top-down. Imagine Hotline Miami, but tactical.
Cool.
So like instead of playing out in real time and you actually controlling your SWAT team, you draw routes and you give them orders, and then they conduct those orders in real time. So it's like you pause the game and you go here, kick in the door, team member 2 toss in a flash grenade, and then team number 3 go in here, and then you have to point which directions they're actually facing when they're walking and stuff like that to watch different corners. So that was the concept of the first Door Kickers. So your SWAT team in Door Kickers 2, your U.S. Army Rangers, it's more combat oriented. So instead of just close quarters combat and like counterterrorism, you now have a team of light machine gunners with like saws. You have designated marksmen. You have grenadiers with grenades on their rifles, and then you have rangers with like carbines and stuff like that. So your missions, it seems like the missions are going to break out of just like small unit tactics and like going through a house and clearing it and breaking into more relatively larger actual open firefights where you position a guy with a saw to watch a flank or something, and he just sits there for a while you go to the rest of the team. Having a lot of fun with it. You get to name all your characters and customize them, and I'm a sucker for that kind of thing. In my head, I'm man enough to admit that in my head I think of like, oh, this Fox is like an old cool guy, and I like choose a portrait and think, for him, and I was like, and Tal, she's like a badass. She's like a badass surfer, and like I'm just, like in my head, I'm coming up with like bios for all the soldiers. Anyway, that's embarrassing. But that's Door Kickers 2, and I can't wait to play it more. There's a campaign mode, but you have to beat a bunch of like standalone missions. You can play missions just standalone, and I don't know how the campaign mode differs, but you have to complete so many standalone missions to unlock the campaign mode. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's clearly set in like Afghanistan, and it references like radical Islamic terrorism, and it's just like, can we do other stuff now? Like, listen, we're already killing people. Can we just kill generic terrorists? Do we have to like reference specific terrorists in specific part of Afghanistan? I mean, please, like, I don't know. If we're really going to be terrified of religious extremism, we've got a guy in our government with a fucking crusader tattoo who dropped a bomb on a school. So you know what? Maybe we should worry about ourselves before we worry about radical Islamic terrorism in other parts of the world. But so that's the one thing that's a little eye rolling, and it's like, can't it just be Counter-Strike where you're just finding nondescript enemies?
Just make the main bad guy's name Hans Gruber, and you're fine.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just make them like, let's make it diverse. That's how DEI. Let's make the terrorists super diverse. It's like that's their one progressive opinion. The terrorists are like horrible people in every other way, except they're like, but we believe in inclusivity.
Accepting of everyone.
We believe in inclusivity. Other than that, we're murderers. I also I want to tell you guys about a Gary's Mod game mode that I've been playing. So
go back.
Yeah, so I'm not super into Gary's Mod. I used to play it a lot when I was a lot younger. Obviously, Gary's Mod, the community is massive. It's one of those games you never hear about, but there's community everywhere. There's shit tons of mods. It's one of those things where people pretend like Roblox created the platform, and over there is Gary's Mod having a good time, and no one talks about it. But so there's a game mode in Gary's Mod called Jazztronauts, and it's kind of a weird concept at first, but it's really, really cool. So it's a co-op game. You can sort of compete, but it's not really PvP, and there's no combat. Basically what the game is, the story is very silly. It starts off and you're like in the Half-Life universe, and you're in a base that's being attacked by the Combine, and then you get teleported to like a weird realm, and there are these cats from another dimension. It takes a second to get set up. And these cats, they jump universe to universe, and they steal things from different places.
Okay, cool.
So you get roped in to like help them out. So you go to their little like hideout, which is a cozy little like restaurant jazz bar thing, which is really neat. and each of the cats have different personalities and different names, and you can talk to them and they give you quests. But the way the game is played is there's a giant TV, and in the jazz bar, you click a button and it loads up a random Gmod map from somewhere, either the internet or the workshop, and all you see of it is the thumbnail, and you can click to load it up or click to load up a different map. If you click to load it up, a train appears and you hop on the train, which is like the Tartarus, going through different dimensions train.
TARDIS.
And what was that?
TARDIS.
Tartarus
is where the
Greek mythology.
Yeah.
The TARDIS. And so you take the train and you go to that map and you load in, and again, it's just a random Gmod map made by somebody. And once you're there, you have a stun baton that's been modded to steal things. So like if you hit a box or hit a chair, you steal it and you get money for it. And so your side quests are to find like steal 10 barrels, steal 10 crates. And because you can't pick maps, you kind of just have to cycle through maps until you see one that's like, oh, this one looks like it may have barrels in it, so let's go there. So you can play co-op and you just all load into a random Gmod map that was made, could have been 10 years ago, could have been this year, at any point. It could have any purpose to it. As I've been playing, there was like Star Wars modded maps. There was different maps for like different Gary's Mod game modes.
A map made by Gary himself.
There was a map.
I would hope so.
There was a map with a bunch of different mini games on it that like we played as we were going around. Eventually, you unlock the ability to like steal the brushes, which the brushes are the things that actually make like the walls and the floors, like the actual things that build the actual structure of the wall itself. You can steal those things off, and then what appears there is just like a pink placeholder to let you know that
the pink and black checker.
Kind of like that. It's like when you peel off a brush, it's like what you see is like the multiverse behind it, like the space between the space or whatever. It's very funny. There's like a floating cat in it. It's silly. So basically, you go in these places, and it's just and there's something meditative and fun and relaxing about it, because you just load up a random map that someone made at some point and you kind of explore it. And some of the maps are like insanely detailed and massive because they were made by some insanely talented person for some like role playing. Like the Star Wars map we found was some massive role playing map. We found other role playing maps that were like big cities and stuff like that with lots of hidden areas. And then we found maps where it's just like a guy made a cabin, and it's just a simple little tiny cabin. There's not much to do in there. So I don't know. I think it's a fascinating game mode for a lot of reasons. There is just something about seeing the random creativity of other people and sort of walking through the maps that they made and wondering if, have people played on this map? Is this just someone's weirdly created map? You really don't know, and there's no way to tell. You could Google the map if you wanted to. But I don't know. And it's very ephemeral. Like you go to the map, you steal whatever you want. Once you get back, that map is gone. You pick a new one to go to. And you can't go back. So when you're cycling through the TV, if you decide to skip the map, there's no way to go back to that map. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have to be sure, like, are you sure we want to skip this one? Who knows? And then you can go into a map and it's like it's not really built all the way, or maybe the person that was building it wasn't super experienced, so it's kind of broken. But I don't know. I think it's a really cool concept. And I don't know. There's just something about, like I said, something about walking through the creativity of other people. It's like, there are the websites where you can watch like a random YouTube video, and some of them it's like a random YouTube video with less than 15 views.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that's kind of gimmicky and interesting. But this is similar, but you're like walking through it in a game, and it's empty except for you and your team, you and your co-op friends. And they the cats want you to find, one of the objectives is to find, they're like sparks, I forget what they are. The game populates these maps with like hidden sparks around the map. So you have to explore it to find these like hidden sparks. And when you collect one, it like explodes, and it takes away a bunch of it deletes a lot of the objects for you, so you don't have to do it yourself. But so that's neat, because a spark will appear in a place on a map that is like tough to get to. So now it's like you're having to figure out the map like you're actually playing on it, you know. And you eventually unlock, with the money you get, one of the best parts of the game, when you get back to the cat jazz bar, there's this little stage with a lever, and you pull the lever and curtains open, and behind curtains is a giant tube, and everything you stole from the previous map falls from the tube, and it counts the money that you get for it, and it all disappears. It's made so it doesn't, you know, crash the game, but it's very silly. So like, I went on a map where there was a combine NPCs, like someone made a co-op map where you fight combine NPCs, and there's a room that they spawned in. So I just kept stealing the combines, so that I would one would spawn, I would steal them so they'd disappear. The next one would spawn, I'd steal. So I sat there and got like 75 combine. And so when I went back to the jazz bar and pulled the lever, like a bunch of combine bodies were falling from the tube and like hitting the floor. It was really neat. You can get you use all that money to buy upgrades, like, you know, in Tears of the Kingdom, Link has the ability where he can go go through the ground.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you kind of have that ability where you can point at a wall and you teleport yourself to the other side of the wall. You have stuff where it can make you run faster, jump super high. You have an ability where you can look at the map's code and see the triggers. So like, say there's a door and you don't know how to open the door and you don't want to rip it. You kind of want to figure it out for yourself, where you can swap to this ability that shows you where the button for the door may be. So you can kind of help navigate levels like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's a really fascinating and cool and relaxing, and just, I don't know. It's just, you're just poking around at like random stuff, because so much of the stuff created is like, you know, it's 15 years old and it's been viewed 100 times. Yeah. It's just a super obscure piece of modding, right?
Yeah.
That like,
it's very cool,
that very few people have ever seen or interacted with, but you encounter it and you go hang out there for a bit. You steal some stuff, you poke around, you see if the people that made the map made any like crazy challenges or creations or whatever. You see if, you know, if they do anything weird, and then it's cool. When you call the train back, you point at a surface, and the train breaks through the wall and parks, and it's sitting there for you. And then you hop on the train and it goes forward and it breaks through the next wall, and you go back into the space between the spaces. But it's really neat because you can do it on any surface. So we've done it like at the bottom of we went on a map where there was a swimming pool. So we did it at the bottom of the swimming pool. So, and we did it pointing up. So when we got on the bus, it looked like we were lifting off out of a swimming pool as it traveled. We've done it like, on a door pointing at like another wall, so it breaks through the wall as soon as it goes. We've called it on like a light post, so it kind of looks like somehow the giant train is coming out of a light post, which is impossible. So it's a really neat mod that is super professionally well done. There's funny dialogue when you complete the side quests for the cats. The cats have like their own silly little storylines. There's one cat who's like in a constant high, and he requests like oil drums and a bunch of other stuff because he's gonna make like some insanely like toxic cocktail that he can't wait to drink. So you're just getting him all the ingredients for this like insane cocktail. So it's very silly. But yeah, it's a really neat game mode, and I'm really glad I played it. And I thought about like even trying to like write about what I find so fascinating about just going through these, like just picking random maps and just exploring them and being like, oh, this is neat. And you can just go through so many. So yeah, I'll be playing that more too. So if you had Gary's mod on your bingo card for 2026, congratulations. And watch out GTA 6. Let me tell you.
Congratulations to Gary for being the only one with it on his bingo card.
Okay, are we ready to do the news? Let's do it. Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server. What? Okay. Oh, what? Nope. I have fallen out of the starting block, and the show is a disaster.
Sorry, tripped you up. My bad.
What?
DNF did not finish. Disqualified.
Meta Horizons! Speaking of did not finish, hey, Meta Horizons is no longer playable in VR. So announced in a blog post, Horizon Worlds will now be a mobile-only experience. Horizon Worlds and events will no longer appear in the App Store on Quest by March 31st, and the Horizon Worlds app will be removed from Quest on June 15th. This was Meta's, flagship app, flagship game, flagship
It's what they ruined VR for.
platform. Yeah, and you're beating me to the punch.
I'm sorry.
And it is now no longer it's no longer going to be a thing after June 15th. And I guess it's interesting because last week we talked about Andrew Bosworth at Meta, and he had that Q&A. He was like, hey, do you think you guys ruined VR? And he gave a very answer that was really unsatisfactory. And now it's like, here we are a week later, and it seems like Meta continuously just does not believe in the thing. And it's frustrating because, it's frustrating for a lot of reasons. It's frustrating because 5 years ago, I could have told you that was going to be a waste of money, that it was going to be a bad idea. Not necessarily it's going to be a waste of money. Like, if Meta wanted to make their own version of Gary's mod for VR, that's fine. You can do that. But the idea that it's going to transform the global economy and change humanity as we know it is asinine, and that's kind of what Meta set out to do with the metaverse. And now here we are, and instead of Meta making a neat little their own version of Gary's mod, and subsidizing the mobile gaming scene, they have closed a bunch of studios down. They're trying to reinvent the iPhone because they lost out on that. And now the few people that maybe enjoy Horizon Worlds in VR are no longer able to do that. This is challenging the concept that all games deserve to be preserved. I am a preservationist, and as difficult as it is to say, even Horizon World, every game that's made deserves to exist in one way or the other, just at least so we know what it's like or what it is. And I don't know, the fact that it's like being taken, it's like, really? You're Meta. You can't pay. How much could it possibly cost to keep this thing? Just, you don't have to do new updates for it, but how much could it possibly cost to have it online? There's no way it would be something that would break the bank, but whatever. Connor,
I was going to say, one, it's not that you could have said that 5 years ago. You did say that 5 years ago.
Well, yeah, we all did, I think.
Yeah. But secondly, is it a game or is it just like a social media experiment that we can just ignore now, like, Google Plus?
No, I think it was. It was similar to Gary's mod. It was a platform, right? So I don't know if we want to. I don't feel like legislating the definition of a game.
If you're trying to make it a Web3 thing, it's not a game. You're just out of touch.
It was like Gary's mod or Roblox. It was a platform where you could create games with it. And the thing is, like, I just described one of the coolest things I've ever come across on the internet in Gary's mod, right? So it's like you when you make these platforms, people will make cool stuff for it.
Yeah.
But of course, the Metis thing, Gary's mod was just like, here's this cool thing, now have fun with it. And you make cool stuff. With Horizon Worlds, it was like, here's this thing, and you're gonna own land, and you can sell things. Like,
gotta make money off
it. It had commerce involved in it, right? This idea that it's not just about creativity and fun, you also can make money off of it. And of course, Meta's going to take a slice of some of that. And that's like the problem with Roblox is Roblox isn't just a platform. It's there to also like exploit the labor of its users. So there's that motive there, which sucks. But did you guys ever try out Horizon Worlds?
No, never. I
still have a shred of dignity in my life.
I think there was at one point, I think they had a concert in there that I was like interested in maybe checking out, but even then, like, I'm not gonna sit there and force my brain to remember when to do that. So,
and the some of the concerts are just like partially VR videos. Like if you've ever watched a YouTube video in VR that like curves around you or something like that. Some of the concerts are like that. Other concerts are like, it's like a recording of 3D objects on a stage, essentially performing a complex animation along with music or something like that. Because it's obviously not live. You can't go up there and, smack whoever's singing and Katy Perry or whatever. But I did hop into Horizon Worlds a little bit, and if you ask me why, I would say it's kind of like the scene in The Hunt for Red October, where the U.S. sub commander speaks in Russian. Know thy enemy. that's kind of why I did it. And man, let me tell you, it was a weird experience. I went into a like restaurant bar thing, and it was a bunch of people sitting around, and it felt like they were being paid to be there, is what it felt like, or it felt like their job was to hang out there, because they were not conducting themselves like the average random group of people in a video game would conduct themselves. Like they were sitting at the table, and there was a stage, and like one person at a time was getting on the stage, and I was just like, have you ever been in a video game? I guess that could be it. I don't know. It didn't seem like it. I just walked in. But and then there was a journalist from what was that place called? There was a journalist from CNET who was there, and they were trying to set up. They were gonna do like some, corny live from the metaverse, and you could tell she was like trying to put on her headset. And I just kind of hovered near her, when I heard her name and I Googled, and I was like, oh, this is like a CNET journalist they're trying to do. But of course, I was muted, so they probably thought I was like a confused 12-year-old. So I remember I kept waving at her to see what I could get her to do, and eventually she just waved back at me. And I was like, yes. But I stood around and just kind of hovered to see what like they were trying to do, and it was clear that they were, like I said, they were doing like we're gonna interview from the metaverse. Woohoo! Look at this, kids! Isn't this insane? And I thought that was hilarious because again, it's like it's a complete lack of a frame of reference, right? This idea that like to believe the metaverse is a new idea, two, to believe that what Meta created was novel in any way. Like again, Gary's Mod existed 15 years ago. I don't see CNET journalists loading up a Gary's Mod map and going live from Gary's Mod.
Yeah.
They don't know what Gary's Mod is. So the fact that like, I don't know, I find all that fascinating that Meta created this thing out of thin fucking air and hinged on a lack of a frame of reference from like the media and a lot of normies, right? From people that like didn't understand how the internet works. And of course it was never going to work, and then it failed, and now we're here, and that sucks. And yeah, I don't know. Does Downpour Interactive not exist because Meta is just losing its interest in VR? I don't know. But yeah, Meta, as a company, Meta, like Google, they have done one thing successfully, and they did it 20 or so odd years ago.
Yeah, only because no one else did it better
at that time. And even then, they haven't done such a great job with the one thing that they've been good at. And they're kind of coasting off people using it because
they made it worse.
They made it worse, both of them and Google. And at this point, they're coasting off of it because the people that are like continuously using it are sort of just habitual users.
Yeah.
In Google's case, I think in some cases, as bad as Google is, it is oftentimes still better than other search engines. I've tried searching the internet with ChatGPT. It doesn't seem to work very well. Google still seems to be the best one to do it. It's better than DuckDuckGo as well. But so yeah, rip to Horizon Worlds, the dumbest idea ever. I would hope that, I don't know, if you're some CEO and you're like a famous guy who started a social media site and you staked your reputation and made a big deal about this, maybe you'd face some repercussions for this big thing that you took a lot of money for, just absolutely face planning. I don't know, Mark. Like maybe you should be the one that's fired and let go, and not the entirety of Downpour Interactive that made one of the best VR games in existence and of all time. So I don't know. But that's just my 2 cents. Do we have anything else to mention before?
Nah, we need to keep him on. He's CEO.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah.
He's one of the most powerful people in the world. He's not going anywhere.
God, that sucks.
It does
Doesn't
suck.
that suck?
It does
Isn't
suck.
that fucking ridiculous?
It is ridiculous.
It's a guy like Mark Zuckerberg is one of the most powerful people on earth. It's a joke.
Ridiculous.
I'm sorry. I don't want to get.
Yeah, another big problem with Horizon Worlds is that it was. I hark on the theory all the time, but it was the third one in the pantheon of other things that existed that were just like it, because you had Rec Room and VR Chat. that arguably did the same thing and were way more popular for way more obvious reasons. Rec Room, I'm not saying this is all the reasons it's popular, but Rec Room is basically Roblox.
Yeah.
You know, the way that the characters are modeled, all that stuff. And VR chat is just like a haven for anime nerds and furries and gaming enthusiasts and stuff. And so it's just like perfect for that audience. There was no audience for Horizon because they tried to, Horizon VR tried very hard to do the, are you a cool person who wants to be cool in VR? Be cool over here. And VR really isn't that cool. I love VR to death, but you know, wearing it, using it, you're not that cool. So it felt because it came into a landscape where everyone else already found their footing and they looked at it and said they didn't want to do that. Yeah. And that's all.
It's funny that you mentioned Rec Room because that CNET journalist, when they were setting up for their little interview, there was another, because it was in one of the like public square maps where there's a bunch of random people like running around doing random stuff. And there's a couple other people that were like hovering around. And one of the guys was like, "Are you a journalist? They wasted so much money on this. Rec Room does it better." I remember them saying that, and it just made me laugh. My mic was muted because I was like, here's like a random 16-year-old who's dropping like there's some real journalism right there. Some wise words from a random 16-year-old. It's like, oh, Horizon World sucks. It's like, yes, it does. Anyway, you can do it on mobile now. So get all those Facebook phones. Oh wait, sorry.
Yikes.
Okay. God, I'm so tired of it. Crimson Desert. Okay. How do I even introduce this? We're going to talk about Crimson Desert now, and Gen AI. We haven't played the game, so we're not going to give you like an opinion on whether or not the game is good. I have no idea. People pointed out suspected generative AI art and generative AI content in Crimson Desert. They were correct. Initially, Crimson Desert's Steam page did not disclose the AI usage, but it does now. Perlibus posted an apology on Twitter saying in part, quote, "During development, some 2D visual props were created as part of early stage iteration using experimental AI generative tools. These assets helped us rapidly explore tone and atmosphere in the earlier phases of production. However, our intention has always been for any such assets to be replaced. Following reports from our community, we have identified that some of these assets were unintentionally included in the final release. This is not in line with our internal standards, and we take full responsibility for it. We also acknowledge that we should have clearly disclosed our use of AI while these tools were primarily used during early production, with the expectation that these assets would be replaced prior to release. We recognize that this does not excuse a lack of transparency. We sincerely apologize for these oversights." And then I think they announced that they were going to do a thorough sweep of the game to like get rid of a lot of the AI stuff. And then former Xbox executive and current gambling executive Mike Ybarra chimed in on Twitter and said, "Why apologize? Connor, make sure you give me some Don LaGreca here. AI, in one form or another, will be in every single video game.
Filthy human piece of garbage.
I don't get why devs feel the need to bend over for the few folks who can't accept the reality that AI will be in every single thing.
Filthy human piece of garbage.
From video games to your fridge. It already is.
It just works.
Man up." He ends it with "man up." like it's what a fucking dipstick. So
Dipstick.
I don't know. That's just the insult.
That's an insult from our dad.
Yeah.
It's a good insult. It's a solid insult.
And I don't know if it's an insult worth mentioning, but I did say that Mike Ybarra looks like a person that Dennis Reynolds would fantasize about murdering in Always Sunny, and not because of something he does, but just because of what he says, like in the episode where he and Mac live in the suburbs, and that guy's like, "Hey neighbor, how you doing?" And it's so mundane that it drives Dennis to the point of almost killing him.
Newsflash, asshole.
I've heard it the whole time. Okay, so what do we think about this? Do we buy Connor, do you see AI? Do you see placeholders in your work at all that you're able to tell us about?
That's NDA breach right there.
Really?
So I can't talk about
Okay.
anything. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Across all the games, you're not allowed to talk about.
Correct.
Are you working on video games? Can you tell us?
That's NDA breach.
He's working on experiences.
We don't make games, we make experiences.
Is your name Connor?
NDA breach.
NDA breach. Okay, got it. Sorry. Because it's hard for me. I don't know. Go ahead.
So, from what they made that apology, which I think is a very fine apology. They could have easily went the route of, hey, it's just a couple photos,
Sure.
whatever. But no, they addressed every single situation, and they essentially were like, yeah, we didn't tell you guys about it. Sorry, let's fix it, and they've fixed all of it, presumably.
Or they're going to at least.
Or they're going to, yeah, one way or the other. But also in the same vein, I have heard, I'm not a developer, and NDA breach, I don't know, but but some guys in the comments who have like developed games or anything, you said usually those types of things, if you have them as a placeholder, have some sort of marking on it that it is a placeholder when you're playing those, or when you're
Usually
developing those.
big text on it.
Yeah.
Has some like iteration of change me or replace me or delete this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw. Sorry.
And that's just one of the, like, although I like the apology, that is one of the things where it's just like, well, there should be clear. It shouldn't have got past anything.
Well, here's the thing. You say it's a very fine apology. I say it's a very bullshit apology because that's clearly like not placeholder image.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's we'll get around to like replacing that art eventually. Just have have someone just get something in there. 6 months later, they're looking at the budget and we don't need to. They're fine.
Yeah, that's also another thing because the type of image the image that I saw, that was the AI image, very Renaissance-esque. There's tons of. Yeah, you can just get an image for free. It's free use, and you can just put there.
Yes, which is the problem that drives me insane, because it's like you can find public domain stuff. I'm sure you could.
Less time. Just Renaissance paintings and then copy paste.
Okay, so one thing, isn't that like cooler? Isn't it neater when you see a real life painting in a game?
No.
And it doesn't.
Sorry.
I'll say it depends. If it's the Mona Lisa everywhere, then no.
Okay,
but if
it
was like the Night Watch, hell yeah.
Yes, it depends on the painting. Yes, it would be weird if you were playing a Lord of the Rings game and you saw the Mona Lisa. But if there's a more obscure painting Pollock. Exactly, or fucking what's her Kusama or Ed Hopper or whatever, right? Like, yes, any number of like modern painters would be weird, but like something that fits, that is obscure enough and fits the tone enough that you can, even though it's from a time in human history, you can put it there and it still fits, right? You could do that. And to me, that's cool because you see it and you're like, is that a real painting? And you Google it and it's like, oh, that's cool. That's a real painting. So you're like reusing real art that inside of an art piece. Mm-hmm. And isn't that a cool concept to think about, right? So that's a separate thing. On Blue Sky, developers started posting images of like their placeholders. And their placeholders were like poorly drawn paint images of like smiley faces and stuff like this. Yeah. Josh Sawyer posted an image of Pentiment where like the placeholder assets for some of the characters, their entire character skin was like bright pink. And in one image there was Bambi hanging over a fireplace because they didn't have like the pig, the suckling pig or whatever to put on the fireplace yet. So they just had a cropped image of Bambi hanging from it, just like poorly like copied and pasted there. So it's like I can't, obviously I'm not a developer, I can't speak for the industry, but this idea that like I don't know, this idea that this is like a standard thing to do feels I don't think it totally adds up in my mind.
placeholder images standard. This not.
Yeah.
Because placeholder images are typically really like they stand out.
Yeah.
So that you're like, oh yeah, we need to do that. Oh yeah, we need to do that. They're not naturally blending in with the rest of the game.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so, and to their point that that they were experimenting with coming up with like tone and stuff like that. I don't know. Isn't that what concept artists are for?
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those things where what does generative AI do in this instance that people can't do? They can do everything. It just does it a lot faster and it does it cheaper. And those are two red flags, right? Because it doesn't produce work that is as good, but it is cheaper and it happens faster. And that's partially like the problem is it's hard to believe, it's hard to give the benefit of the doubt for an industry that oftentimes cuts a lot of corners. And you see stuff like this and it's like, I don't know. It's either a willful error where somebody thought, hey, we'll release the game here, and a year down the road, we'll release a patch where all the paintings get replaced. In that case, now they're lying, right?
Yeah.
They're being disingenuous. Or it's who really looks at the paintings in game anyway, you know, which is infuriating because it's like, one, people do, but two, if you don't care, don't put anything there. If it's so important, don't fill the walls with paintings, because if you do, then you're acknowledging that there should be something there. You just don't want to do the work to put something there that's meaningful. Yeah. So that's like, isn't that the definition of just lazy? You can't even find an image in the Creative Commons or whatever to throw up there in the public. What's the word I'm looking for?
Public domain. Public domain
to throw up on there.
Or just, a real quick MS Paint drawing.
Yeah, exactly. Which is what, and again, this is Pearl Abyss. Black Desert Online is super successful. I'm sure they make a shit ton of money from it. It's hard for me to believe you couldn't hire a couple artists for it. It's hard for me to believe that that there was nothing you could do there, like budgetary wise.
And they didn't exactly do this, but it's kind of throwing QA under the bus. Because QA was probably told not to bug that. They were like, oh, that's finalized. It's going in. Like there's a decision made there. Now, if this is just a circumstance of it was genuine, quote unquote, placeholder images that they were going to replace eventually, they dropped the ball by making it seamless with the rest of their surrounding. And that's just bad planning.
In general, and any of us can answer this question. Do we think that QA people usually it's their job to point out placeholders when they see it? I mean, if any of us has an NDA, we don't have to answer that question. But you think
actually, yes.
In general, is that in general like what QA does is point out you forgot this placeholder here and whatnot? Okay, see that's actually an interesting insight because I was curious. Now I'm sure maybe different studios do different ways, but like I was curious at what point in the pipeline is something like that supposed to be caught? Because if there is a point in the pipeline where it is, then you can pinpoint the failure. But when it has failed at such a massive magnitude, then you have to wonder, were the orders? No, ignore all these because
the rule of thumb for QA bugging is if it bugs you, bug it.
Oh, okay.
So if there's placeholder image, do a quick query. Has this been bugged? No, bug it.
That'd be interesting to hear about Pearl Abyss's system. On to fucking Ybarra here. So I just I don't know. First of all, this idea that AI is inevitable is stupid. It's not true. And this is coming. I don't even know if this is like. There is. It's not my metaphor. But there's a metaphor I like about the United States of America. And it has to do with Terminator, right? So in Terminator, at the beginning of the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he has the skin on, right? So he looks human. But underneath, he's the metal Terminator skeleton.
He's coming to kill
people, right?
Yeah.
Now, at the end of the movie, all that has been like burned off or whatever, and it's now just the terrifying skeleton. But the character hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that has changed about the Terminator character is that the facade has been ripped away, and now you see the robot for what the robot actually is. But the robot himself knew what he was the whole time, right? It wasn't like it was something revealing to him. Sometimes, at this point in the United States of America, it has been compared to that scene in Terminator, where for a long time, we were the T-800 or T-1000, whichever one it is, with some of the skin intact, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're this capitalistic society where it's like, yeah, gambling's illegal, but... And then we're at the end of Terminator now. We're bombing countries. We have a syphilitic Mad King as president. So now it's the skin off, and we're chasing, fucking Sarah Connor down, and there's just no joke about it. We're just ugly and demented. And there's just something about a guy who was involved in one of the biggest controversies of the past decade at Blizzard, was made co-head with a woman, and for some reason was being paid more than her. She stepped down because of that. This guy who puts his foot in the mouth all the time about a bunch of stupid shit leaves and is now a CEO for a gambling startup. To say some stupid bullshit like that on Twitter is just, I don't know. It's just like, I don't understand how you could really feel any dignity about your own humanity to really think that like this thing, this bubble, this technology that is clearly making things worse, that is so unpopular that people are like having to grapple with when it comes to not just like, oh, I don't want this in a video game, but like reality, right? Every day Joe Rogan gets tricked by an AI thing, and we're on the verge of like apocalyptic nightmare time because Joe Rogan thought a video of Mike Waltz was real when it was a generative AI video. And that's a terrifying reality we live in. And so for your response to this to be so flippant and then to end it with man up, I don't know. I think that reveals the kind of person that you are, which is a shit person. Just, to be honest, it's just a bad person who should have never been in video games to begin with. And I don't understand how you could work in games for 20 years and know all the creatives that you've worked with. And I assume Mike Ybarra has met thousands of people across the industry, different countries, just imagine working in games for 20 years. He probably knows multiple people at Valve and Ubisoft and Sony, right? He's got contacts across the entire industry. And to just like not respect any of that creativity or experience or hesitancy towards AI, it's just downright disrespectful and ugly. So yeah, I don't know. And the other thing is like, nobody is asking for AI in your fridge. Nobody. But that's part of the problem, right? Is capital has to reinvent ways to create growth because it has reached a plateau where it's like, okay, we made the best touch phone we could make. How do we keep making them and keep forcing people to buy them? Well, planned obsolescence. We come up with bullshit features that, your camera can erase the dog that's pooping in the background. So do shit like that. And then that's how you do it. You just manufacture ways to keep selling things. But what if you're like Facebook and you don't have a product like that? What do? You create glasses that are meant to replace the phone for some reason, right? And then what if you're the entire tech sector and you've kind of run out of ideas? What do? Well, first it's the metaverse, and then it's NFTs, and then it's crypto. And when those things don't pan out, it's AI. How about this thing to create growth and keep investor money pouring in and stuff like that? Because we can't just have a sustainable economy. We have to have an economy that endlessly grows. And so it's only inevitable because like greed and a human failure to imagine better futures and exploitation. And nobody's actually, nobody's walking into a store going, I need a new fridge and I really need Chat GPT on it. Right? So it's just, it's just such an asinine take for so many reasons, and I kind of just wanted to. I don't know. I kind of had a bad morning this morning. I didn't wake up well, and then just to see this guy and his stupid fucking face, and imagining him saying, "Hey, man up." I don't know. It's just so incredibly distasteful, and and it makes me wonder, like, if that's the way this douchebag thinks, then like, how many other executives out there feel the exact same way, or just as disrespectful to the creatives and to the medium, right? And that's a terrifying thought. That's a terrifying thought to imagine that they're just out there in the wild doing whatever. I'm sorry. I apologize for all that. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to say?
Mike, you're a fucking moron.
There's I'm just going to say the joke, but bad news for dude's name, Mike Ybarra. Tyler just woke up.
Sorry. It's whatever.
No, yeah, sorry. And yeah, so like it's Mike Ybarra isn't a creative, and that's why he doesn't care.
Or maybe, I don't know if he is or isn't, but if he is, he's a bad creative.
I mean, it seems like a large majority of the guys who are spearheading a lot of these companies are not creatives at all.
Was he the guy that worked at Midway, like back in the 90s?
I don't know. Let me see.
I think that may have been him. I don't remember if it was him or not. It doesn't matter.
You know what sucks? Oh my
Mike
God.
Ybarra.
Well, that too, but sorry, because you mentioned Midway, and Midway was a great company.
Yeah.
And I was cleaning discs at work the other day. Sorry, it's a quick anecdote.
No, I love this shit.
And I saw MLB Slugfest, and I was like, "Fuck, man, we don't have any of those games anymore. Like, we don't have Blitz anymore for very obvious reasons. The CTE, all that shit. They don't want bad image, whatever.
They don't want Lawrence Taylor blasting Joe Montana's face off with a shotgun.
And so." Yeah, I saw Slugfest, and there's like NHL hits and stuff. And I'm like, man, whatever happened? I saw it on the disc, Midway. And I was like, well, that's why I don't have them anymore, because fucking Midway's gone.
Yeah.
They're the only ones man enough to do it.
And I'm sure there's an interesting like economic reasons behind that, because if you make like a fun sports game, you'd have to pay for licensing fees, and does it make economic sense to sell a... If you were making a game based on Major League Baseball,
Change the name slightly, you're good.
And you could do that, but I mean, if you want like Aaron Judge, right, at in cartoony proportions, hitting massive jacks that go to the moon or something like that,
Aaron Magistrate,
that would be funny. There was the player Jesus Flores, and you could just pronounce it Jesus Flowers. Jesus Flowers. Played for the Nats back in the day, ladies and gentlemen. Played for the Nats. That's like a Harry Carey type factoid. Jesus Flowers. There he is.
That was really good.
Yeah, that was out of nowhere. That was a pretty decent Harry Carey.
Your secret talent.
It's Harry Carey. Jesus Flowers up the plate here in Wrigley Field. Okay, that just became goofy. Do we have tidbits?
No, I don't have. I have something to say that doesn't warrant the tidbit sounder, but there's now a Requiem VR mod on PC.
Oh, really? On PC?
Yep.
Oh, I can't wait to. I can't wait to play it in VR.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's gonna be so good. I wonder if like it's because Grace's aiming is slightly different from Leon's, because I think Grace like moves a bit more.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna have that in VR at all, or if they're just gonna allow you to be, John Wick as Grace anyway. I wonder if it'll matter at all.
I don't know.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Okay, well. I'll do my other sports one, which is oh god, I can't remember his name. Marv Albert.
Oh jeez.
I've done this before, but this isn't my joke. But if you went to dinner with Marv Albert, I'll have the salmon and risotto. That's Marv Albert. Anyway,
I haven't heard Marv Albert forever.
Okay. YouTube.com/Gaming Discourse, Patreon.com/Gaming Discourse, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.